All right, we're diving in.
Do it.
So we're excited for this because since day one of Mountain Tough, we founded the company in 2016. Mm-hmm. Even then, we knew we were pursuing this mission of taking care of primarily male athletes, even though tons of Mountain Tough customers are females now. But we started off going after this consumer that wanted something a little different, something a little gritty that was appealing to their ethos. And a lot of that ethos was really connected to them being wild at heart.
Yeah.
So they were looking for a little more adventure in their life. We knew that a backcountry hunt would fulfill some of that.
Yes.
And we knew that training for that hunt would change their life, the hunt would change their life, and then the community would change their life. But even in 2016, we knew that we had bigger things on the horizon than fitness. And it's taken a while to get there, but we've done some of it in the past. But this year we're going head on with doing everything we can to take care of the Mountain Tough community physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, nutritionally, and then even the smaller accessory items like mobility, prehab, rehab, durability.
Rehabilitating,
Because we knew the whole time that our goal with Mountain Tough was to take care of them very holistically. Because we've always seen it as like the 4 legs on a stool. Even though I think now there's more legs than 4. But
it's more like an octagon with a
it's an octagon stool now, Because like if you're really strong mentally but not physically, you're not gonna live as abundantly as you could. If you're really strong physically but weak mentally, there's gonna be some issues. If you're very strong mentally and physically but struggling spiritually, there's gonna be some issues.
That's right.
If you're crushing all 3 but you're struggling nutritionally, there's gonna be some issues. So for us in pushing human performance forward for the mountain and military athlete, we know that looking at their soul and how they're doing with their spiritual side of that stool is going to change the game. And so we're launching that content now with you. And,
cool.
It's awesome. It's super exciting.
I'm excited for it too.
It's been like 6 years in the making to get to this point.
That's good.
Yeah.
I remember some of our earliest conversations were around that you wanted to serve the entire person, right? Not just part of the person, not just the one aspect of the other. And I think this is coming to fruition at the moment, which is pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. And I think that for our community to be strong spiritually and feel good about what's going on in their soul, it's gonna make them better at work, better at home, better on the job. And then with I know me personally, like our workouts are specific, but they're not easy. So when you're struggling with soul stuff and you try to walk into a hard workout, it does not go well.
Correct.
And you can't. It's like I slept good, I ate good, but I'm not performing well. And so I think that's going to help, and then that's only going to help in the backcountry, and it's just going to carry on the rest of the year. Yeah, absolutely. So much of this is, the word I use is sacred. So when it's that thing that people describe when they're hiking the mountain and bugling in an elk. It's like this sacred moment. Or even when you're quartering out an elk, there's this sacredness to it. Or I've heard surfers talk about the perfect wave and how there's this spiritual sacredness to the moment. And we start tapping into these moments. I remember a couple years ago, we were up on Buck Ridge, and Buddy and I, we were elk hunting, and we dropped into one of the drainages, and we called in a couple elk as the sun's going down over Lone Peak. And as we're trying to make a play on these elk, the wolves start howling off in the bottom of the drainage. And so I'm trying to figure out, are we on a wolf hunt or an elk hunt? But as we were driving out, I'm like, this was good for my soul. This was good for my body to hike down, and mentally it was a good hard hike, and we're in grizzly country, so you got to have your head on a swivel. But my soul was
healthy
Yeah.
in that moment. And I think that's what we're trying to tap into, is what's that deeper thing going on within ourselves. So, yeah.
Yeah, my wife always says, dude, you need to get in the mountains.
Yep.
Like, because she just knows what it'll do. Even if it's not a successful hunt.
Yeah.
It's like 2 days in the mountains changes your soul pretty fast.
Yep. And gives her a break from you.
Yeah, maybe that's what's going on. But one thing I wanted to talk about so that the community knew your history and your background before they start diving into week 1, 2, 3 of this content is one of my favorite parts about it is it's real.
Yep.
This is real stuff that's going to require some work. It's not easy, almost like a workout. And you've been through it.
Yeah.
So like you went through a patch over the last couple of years where you needed to start doing some things to your soul.
Yep.
I love that because it's like it's authentic, it's real. We're not talking about stuff that we haven't been through ourselves.
Yep, that's right.
And you're not producing content that you haven't worked on with your own heart and your own soul.
Yeah.
So maybe you could just briefly touch on that and talk about what it's done, where were you at, and how long it takes.
Yeah, good. I'll actually back up before that because this is something that's been deep and ingrained into who I am for a long, long time. In college, actually led a men's group, and this might sound a little out there to you. I've already told you about this.
Yeah.
I led this men's group where we would get together and we would talk about real stuff going on in our souls and what's going on in our spiritual lives. And we also did a little bit of like Fight Club. So I had a barn at that time with a single light, and we'd fight, and then we'd have big bonfires and talk about what's going on in our spiritual lives. This idea that it's a biblical idea of like iron sharpening iron, right? Or like an idea of sharpening a knife, right? How do we keep that knife sharp? And then progressed. I was a pastor up in Big Sky for 5 years, and we took trips. Well, it was our backyard just to go out and have some fun, but we would take some trips down to Texas to do hog hunting and bass fishing. And then I would work through a several-day curriculum with a select group of guys to steal some Jim Collins stuff to like go from good to great, help them be not just good husbands, good dads, but great husbands, great dads. And so in the midst of all that, that's kind of how I've been wound together. And then in the past couple of years, as many folks experienced, I had a burnout or just a fracturing kind of moment in the past couple of years where I thought, man, I'm depleted. I'm teaching people about having a healthy soul, but I don't have a healthy soul at the moment.
Yeah.
And it was holistic. It was I got to get my diet right, and I did a 30-day thing where it was like a 30-day cleanse.
Yeah.
I got to work out. I got to take a walk. I've got to eat right. I've got to sleep right. And so I just dove into it. Part of it was I did a life planning process with a guy, Lance Witt, who was a pastor at a big church down in Southern California for a long time. And so he helped me get some things in perspective and help to nurture my soul. And I became really obsessed. Like this is really fresh. Like, I am very obsessed with what is going on in our souls and how do we nurture a healthy soul. Because I don't think we ask that question enough or hard enough or intentionally enough.
Or think about it enough. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so we go, why do I feel so fractured and stressed out and distracted? Everything's good. The money's good. I'm eating pretty well. I'm working out on a regular basis, but something's still like wrong in the wiring. Something's not working. And people feel it around us. And so I'm super passionate about helping people get back into a space where they're embracing the full sacredness of how they're wound and what's going on under the surface. I say, like, what's the thing under the thing?
Yeah.
Right? There's like, these are the habits and activities, but like, what's the thing under the thing that's like going on deep in here? So
they can fill their cup.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, that's a metaphor I use often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've talked a lot about with me just how this takes time. So it's a little bit different than like the physical where I can do 7 workouts and feel this difference in my body, where this is similar in the work you have to put in.
Yeah.
But you have to put in some work to
Yes.
start getting your soul replenished.
Correct.
And it's not just rest. It's like we're doing some work to
Yes.
to refill that cup.
Yeah, there's a pastor and author, passed away a couple years ago. He's a Montana guy, Eugene Peterson. He wrote a book called Along Obedience in the Same Direction. And so he talked about the incremental need to nurture your soul. There's principles we can teach in a day, but then there's a lifetime of mastery. It's kind of how I think about it, right? Is we can learn simple things like silence and solitude, gratitude, taking a break from our technology, things like that can nurture our souls. But then there's this lifetime of learning about like what's actually going on the inside.
You can never stop learning.
That's right.
That's awesome.
Yep.
So right under this video, they're going to see week 1.
Yep.
What's the Mountain Tough community walking into here?
Yeah. So I'm going to be very question driven. So my style is to ask a penetrating question like, hey, so in the first episode they're going to hear about like, how is their soul really? So don't give me the surface level answer. Don't give each other the surface level answer. Go a little deeper than that. Mm-hmm. We're good at lying to ourselves. So let's not lie to ourselves. Let's take an honest assessment of how we're doing. And so these videos are meant to be a little bit of teaching and then very practical in nature. So they're short, they're very consumable, and then at the end, there's a practical piece that for a week, we want them to practice something. And throughout that week, we'd like for them to engage through the comments and the chat and the Mountain Tough community so that they can fuel each other's fire and help each other along the way to help create healthier souls.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that we're kind of all going through this together.
Yeah.
Because that accountability and iron sharpens iron aspect is a game changer.
That's right.
And so I'm excited. I can't wait for folks to go through week 1 and let us know what they think, how they're doing, taking care of each other, supporting each other. Yeah. And then we're going to give them something to work on once a week for a while. You are, specifically around their soul.
That's right.
And we're going to treat it just like the physical fitness we've been doing for a while on how can we make you a better human and so that you can live an abundant life so that you can perform not only in the mountains but with your family, with your spouse, at work, with your friends. It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be awesome, man.
Yeah.
It's good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for being a part of this. This is really awesome.
A funny story before I close.
Okay.
What is the tattoo and the name of the men's group you started? The Fight Club.
I don't know if I can say that.
I think you can say it.
So we, one night we were sitting there and I was like, I just want to have big old balls for Jesus. And everybody's like, what? I'm like, I don't know if that metaphor works. I just want to be like a man of integrity, like a man of confidence, all the things. So then they were like, okay, that's who we are. So so that's the tattoo. Two big balls. Two big balls. It's subtle though, Dustin. And then underneath it, it says, I don't know if I've told you this part.
I haven't seen that part.
It says warrior in Hebrew. But it's bled a little, so it actually says bread now. So
it used to say warrior.
It used to say warrior. Now it says carb load.
You're gonna have to clean that up.
I'm gonna have to clean it up for sure. Yeah, or get a new one.
That's awesome.
There you go.
I love it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, man.